Today we're going to talk about paying for diabetes home care. This is a very complex topic. Anytime you talk about drug prices in the United States, it's very difficult to get information. So I hope this presentation will clarify. If you have diabetes, then you need to check your blood glucose level. Of the 21 million diabetics in the U.S., only about 6 million actually take glucose. But the rest do have to monitor their glucose at some point once a day or up to 8 times a day. Every time you check your glucose, you need a lancet and an alcohol wipe to clean your finger, clean the site, one test strip to put the blood in, and a glucometer to put the test strip in to get your measurement. And that will tell you how much insulin you need to take. You're going to need a glucometer. They can run about $9 and all the way up to $1,700. And these prices are all from Walmart.com. Some people think more expensive glucometers are more accurate and they're going to help you take better care of your diabetes. But an expensive glucometer also comes with expensive test strips. Test strips can run anywhere between 18 cents at the low end to $1.80, and they come in packs of 100. Lancets to prick your finger go about 2 cents to 18 cents. And the alcohol wipes, 2 cents, $1.50 each, which was surprising that they could be that expensive. And they come in boxes of 100 to 200, as well as the lancets. So you're paying money to monitor your glucose. The test strips are a big cost, and the cost of those depends on what type of glucometer you have. Even the low-end glucometers have a very good accuracy, and they're very easy to use. There's no manually entering of information. There's a code on the test strip that's automatically entered by the glucometer. So not like it used to be where you had to do it manually. Now even the cheapest ones code automatically. If you are checking your blood glucose 8 times a day at these prices at Walmart, you're paying between $1.75 to $27.84 a day. That's $53 to $847 a month, and that turns into $634 to $10,161 per year. I have a friend who has pretty severe type 1 diabetes, checks his blood glucose several times a day, and he tells me he pays about $60 a month for his supplies. So this is that falls into this range. Insulin falls into 4 different types of categories. There's many different types of insulins. It's a very large molecule and it's been tweaked over the years, but generally they fall into 4 categories. You have rapid acting, which works very quickly but only lasts for a few hours, and that's something you would take before a meal. You have short acting, regular insulin, which is a human insulin, that takes about a half an hour to an hour to kick in, lasts about 12 hours, which is nice, but it peaks at about 5 hours. Intermediate acting insulins, the NPHs, they take about an hour and a half to 4 hours to kick in. They peak at about 12 hours, but they can last up to 24 hours. It can be very convenient. Then you have the long-acting insulins, which take up to 4 hours to kick in. They don't have much of a peak. They stay pretty constant level in your blood when you take it, and they can last up to a day. Very, very convenient. To calculate how much insulin a person would need, a very simple formula is to take the body weight in pounds divided by 4. Therefore, a 164-pound person would need 40 units a day. That's not a typical weight for a person, but that's a starting point. Easy to calculate. 40 units a day. In 2016, Hua and his colleagues came out with the results of a large survey they had been doing over the years of insured diabetics and what they are actually paying for insulin and what the cost of their insulin, the price of it is. The mean price for 1 milliliter of insulin they found was $12.92. A milliliter of insulin contains 100 units. And that gives you a mean price per unit of insulin of 12 cents. And most of the research looking at the cost of insulin focuses on the price per unit. So that's what we'll talk about as well. If you're taking 40 units a day, then you're paying about $4.80. That's if you're insured. That's about $146 per month. You're paying $1,752 a year. And if you're uninsured, Green and Riggs published a study this year showing that uninsured people are paying between $120 and $400 a month for their insulin. Very expensive to be a diabetic and have to take care of yourself with insulin. Here's some examples of the insulin categories. Rapid-acting insulin, very common one is Humalog. That's only lasts for a few hours. That's $292 for a 10 milliliter vial, which is a very common way to buy insulin via the 10 milliliter vial, one of the less expensive ways to buy it. Short-acting insulins, you have Humulin, very common, $197 for a 10 milliliter vial. Last year, Walmart came out with a Rely On house brand of insulin that's $25. It's actually made by some of the big manufacturers. They won't say who because they keep changing it around and negotiating for this insulin. $25, the cheapest price you can find for this type of short-acting insulin. Intermediate-acting Humulin N, again, $197 for 10 milliliter vial. Walmart also sells this type of insulin for $25 a vial. And then for the long-acting insulins, Lantus is very common, $285 for a 10 milliliter vial. And these prices come from a very large healthwarehouse.com online pharmacy, and I found their prices were very comparable to Costco. To give you an idea of how someone with diabetes stretches 10 mils of insulin, a 160-pound person taking 40 units a day takes one vial every 25 days. If that guy gains 100 pounds, weighs 250 pounds, he's taking 62 units a day. He's going to need a vial every 16 days, 2 vials a month. Most diabetics who take insulin take more than one type to cover themselves for a long term and before meals. And they will be spending a lot of money if they have to buy more than one vial every month. Harmel and Hirsch published an interview in Medscape this year, and they provided the prices around the world of insulin. You can see how much more expensive insulin is in the United States compared to these other countries who have price controls by the government. The U.S. does not, and that's really the only reason why insulin is so expensive. They can actually get these prices or get near these prices in this country. Again, Hua and colleagues in their survey talked about how insulin price has gone up over the years from 0.04 4 cents a unit back in 2002 and almost 13 cents a unit today, a huge increase. Again, Hua and colleagues in their survey showed the rising cost of insulin in yellow compared to other diabetic meds, and how the price of insulin has gone up while the price of other types of diabetic meds has gone down a little bit over the years. Why does it cost so much? Many factors, chief being that they have the drug companies have a captive audience. They have 21 million people with diabetes in the U.S. About 6 million of them take diabetes, so they have a huge potential to grow that, and they need it to live. So they're going to pay for it one way or another, no matter what the cost is. These people rely on this medication. Next factor, a tight supply. Only 3 companies manufacture insulin in the United States, and actually the world. So only 3 companies that can control the supply very closely. And why is there only 3 companies? There are no generic versions of insulin. This drug's been around for nearly 100 years. The patent on it, the original versions, ran out about 75 years ago. Still no generic versions. Why? Because just before the patent runs out, the companies evergreen the older versions. And that means they change the molecule just enough so they can apply for a new patent and avoid allowing generics from coming onto market so they can keep the price high. The next factor, We used to have animal-derived insulin before the analogs came out. They're not profitable, not very profitable, and so the drug companies withdrew those from the market in the 90s. But the rest of the world still uses them. They're only about maybe 30% cheaper in most places, but you cannot get them in the United States. Biosimilars are on the way. The first biosimilar insulin was actually approved this year by the FDA, and it's a biosimilar based on Lantus, the long-acting form of insulin, and it's the first one to get approved. And there are no, the patents that are out now are going to expire, and it does not look like these drug companies are going to be releasing any more versions of their insulin. So you may see generics come out if unless they end up doing that, but right now it does not look like they're going to. Medicare cannot negotiate drug prices. The U.S. government cannot negotiate drug prices. It is illegal. So other countries do, and they're able to negotiate and have much, much lower drug prices than the U.S. Middlemen. Between the customer, the patient, and the drug company, complex web of middlemen. Very difficult to find what people pay, and this just drives up the cost as each person takes his piece of the pie. This is a chart showing how money and drugs move through the free market system in the U.S., the consumer at the top, the drug company at the bottom. If you have insurance, over on the left is the insurance company. They hire a pharmacy benefit manager who negotiates with the drug companies which drugs they're going to buy, at what price. And when they choose a drug, they generally get something called a rebate from the drug company. It's also known as a kickback. Some people might call it a bribe. The insurance company pays them to do this, to provide the drugs for their patients who are insured. The pharmacy might buy the drugs from a drug wholesaler, and they negotiate those prices. So very little of the drug actually goes directly from the drug company to the consumer through the pharmacy directly, except through the drug company's own prescription plans. If you need to cut costs and you're buying these things, especially insulin, there's prescription assistant programs. There's many websites that I'm going to provide on the next slide. You can also talk to your pharmacist. They are usually good resources for where to get lower price insulin if you're having trouble paying for it. You could consider switching drugs. It's not always an option for someone who has found a type of insulin that they happen to respond really well to, but it is an option. You can go from a long-term to a short-acting like Humalog, maybe in a pump, and it's a much lower cost. If you can get it from Walmart for $25, that's even better. You can shop around. Costco, Walmart, Walgreens, the big pharmacies may negotiate lower prices, but right now you can't do better than $25 for 10 ml vial at Walmart. There's gray markets, especially for test strips. This background picture was taken near my house. If you have test strips that you're not using because you change glucometers, you can resell those. And there's lots of places on the web to sell them. They may not be safe, but if they're not expired, it's a huge business. Craigslist is a place where you can also obtain someone's old test strips. You can look for foreign sources out of the country, pharmacies that will sell you their insulin for cheap, but the insulin has to be shipped cold, so you're taking a risk that it may not be safe to use once you get it. Here's some resources for finding prescription assistance programs, and these are mostly nonprofit sites that will put you in touch with these prescription drug programs, which may be able to get you no-cost or low-cost insulin. It's based on your income, and you cannot have insurance for these plans for most of them. So if you qualify, then great, but if you don't, then you're paying these exorbitant prices for insulin. Thanks for listening to this presentation. It's a very complicated topic. I hope I clarified some things for you.